Oh, that's different. Was that like a crazy shadow right here? Alright, well, we know how it goes with my videos, so maybe over here? How about just throw it out? I think would be a good idea. Right? Just shut up, Heather. Shut up, Heather. Did you get back on your pills yet, Heather? Shut up. Alright, just that is just something from dedicated to my deceased brother. Alright, so nobody ever really saw, well, they did, they just ignored it. So you won't be able to see the beautiful colors in this dried rose. This is actually from Brentwood. But I'm not going to struggle with the camera. I don't even think we just need it a little higher. Now I want to try to do a few things because I was out of data. Excuse me, I had to delete files. So you won't be able to see it. It's kind of cool, I guess, black and white, but not really. I don't really like black and white stuff. I mean, it's fun to watch an old movie sometimes, but... So what it is it's like this thing we prop. I think if I do this, what is she doing again? Yeah, I've never gotten it good. It's so... I want to show you my funny shirt. And it is funny to us because it's being used as a publicity stunt. You guys, Trump is not... Don't be thinking he's like Jesus or something. You guys, come on, let's get ourselves in order. They even have like little red to show the blood from his ear. And anyone that's ever known me knows they would probably never see me wearing a shirt like this. Maybe. Hopefully I can end with the this hurricane that hit down south and on the coast. It's very alarming. I remember Katrina, but I was dealing with police brutality that was never addressed and a bunch of other things in my life, and just the law looming over my head in 2002 to 2003. So and my family didn't think it was important to look into the fact why my ribs were busted. And the jail was accusing me of having DTs, but really they forced me to the hospital, beat me up some more prior, because I did try to flee, and then took too much blood, and by the time they got me back to the jail, I was shaking. And it wasn't DTs, it was because my ribs were busted. And they left me on cement floor with no blanket for, I think, a week. You're not even supposed to be held in a holding cell that long. I don't remember the deal, but... So we're going to be, it's one of my jump around shows, so we're going to hit on a few things, and then I try to keep it in less than a half hour. John 3:16, God so loved the world, he gave his only son for our sins, to cover our sins and trespasses. Lady I watch sometimes, and please excuse the nasally. I think I've got most of it, like, busted out. I haven't had anything like this in quite some time. And like I said, normally if it was ever respiratory or something, because I don't inhale, when I do have tobacco, I don't inhale it, but this hit really weird. Like normally when I was young and I'd get these a lot, I kind of knew it was coming on, but I was sick a lot. So, I mean, it was, so try to bear with that if you even watch it all. I think really I'm just more well suited for my quick, urgent, get to Jesus now. I think other people do these things better like this. I bought an Amish chicken. I actually have not bought one of these in a while, and I am not blaming the Amish country miller. It's that I had one or two others, and I don't know if it's something that the market did or if there was a shipping problem. And even this I'm starting to wonder about, and I hope not, but because, like, say I bought it yesterday, yeah, and it's only good till the 9th. Look at how much a 4 pound, okay, four and a quarter. Alright, so I'm not going to say much more on that. I say that's self-explanatory, right? So I'm going to have to get that fried up today. I don't know if some of us are psychically tied in at this point. No, I'm not kidding. I watch so much YouTube now, I'm like highly addicted. It's my only news source. I keep up with several families that are all around, maybe not the whole world, but there's still a couple that I watch, and then I try to tie things in from each coast, Canada, South. I don't explore much with the stuff down in South America and stuff because I think everyone's moving up here. Some years back on my first station, and they were very short-lived because I got sick of the flagging and all that on my as I was going really gung-ho. I mean, not right away because I was still kind of finding my original identity after the last hospital ventures. They had me severely fragmented. Because of what they did to me without my knowing, put me under without my permission also, and a bunch of other things. Okay, so before we get way off there, but I started out very strong, and there was a bioweapon coming. It was just the stuff that the Lord laid on my heart. The propaganda, I thought it was going to be medically related, some kind of shutdown. But they had to do something. Because there was something between Obama and Trump. We were already having a border problem. And I wasn't very clear on it at first. At first it tugged at my heartstrings because that's how the media portrayed it. And maybe the first round was they were shipping up women and children, but I kind of fell for that. I actually almost went to a march about it, but once I sat back and settled down with Jesus, I realized a lot of it was, well, fear tactics. And I don't know how many were women and children. I don't know if they were being kept in cages. It was all just to get people stressed out. Although that did land me at a poor people's campaign dedicated to Martin Luther in Washington, D.C., and that was a really amazing adventure. Just too much if you're not young and you're not used to just bopping around. Like if I had been in my 20s or late teens, I would have been fine with like a rush 24-hour trip. We barreled into DC on a bus, and the bus was cramped, or maybe just too many of us were chubby. Either way, it just seemed like an extra. I'd been on buses before, and it was just like, And so it was like we were like sitting on top of one another, literally, and I packed too much, like a dingbat, and because I didn't know what was going on exactly, I guess. But I do remember that with some of the younger activists. They were like laughing when they saw me. That was funny, I guess. So they just like literally had the shirt on their back and like maybe one small bag, which is how you have to do that. And but I was having stuff then too. My doctor and I were trying to taper me off this pill. I was having weird retention, like I had never had a foot swollen thing. And by the way, I hadn't even known much about the remote attacks. I mean, I just literally was just like, it was always just this or that or something else. And then the one thing would go away and then something else appears. And that's still going on. It's just even worse now. So now we're going to come back to the groceries real quick, but I don't want to get too fired up on that. And we need to pray for this hurricane situation. The government is being very slow, or something is haywire again. We can put blame on one group or the other, but I mean, the fact they can't even come together and get a rescue set up immediately. For me, with my little hypervigilance, it really looks to me like How many can they wipe out? Boone, I only looked up Boone. I'd been through Boone before. I know about Boone, North Carolina. I used to go on the bus when I was young, back and forth a little bit, to see a great aunt at the very end there. A few times I went down through the bus, and just a bunch of spots. I'm just like, this is very alarming that there was not like immediate action, like as if it was a military thing. Yet she's already getting fired up this morning. Yet they're escalating. Okay, everything's shut. They're escalating everything in the Middle East. But then there was the strike, the port strike, but thank God everyone woke up there and ended up coughing. So I was trying to find out dates. Today was like, so when did the strike start? Right around the same time as this hurricane? Or I'm not even sure. Did this hurricane happen last Thursday? Like, I got to look that up. That was the one thing I was supposed to look up. I should have John another device so I could look up the date. Isn't it like last Thursday or Friday? I was like really worried, and I just kept thinking, God, I just hope it passes, or it's lesser than, or, you know, sometimes when the hurricane, and then sometimes the wind, or however that all works, it will do a different, well, it certainly did it different, but not what I'm sure most of us hoped, right? Because it's super sad. And my family, some of my family was from Asheville. I don't know how many passed away. I was pretty much estranged from them through the woman that raised me. A bunch of stuff went down when they sold the property down there when my aunt died, and it was a bunch of hush-hush, and I had no trust left in my family. It was more of a hostage situation at that point. I mean, if I'm having to like beg and cry and plead to go down and be with my great aunt, and I'm past 18, it's pretty bizarre. So, and she was cantankerous and ornery, but she would have let me come and stay with her. She trusted me. She didn't trust barely anyone down there. It was just her, but she did trust me. I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to say that's the kind of group that we're dealing with here. She'd always say they're all just money hungry. Well, I'm not gonna. Okay, so I thought, well, I'll look at non-perishables today because we're tight, you know. And that was insane. Like, say 2 cheap small cans of chili, just like if, say, you're getting low and you're really not, you know, that's what you got and you're going to eat it. I mean, I look at that kind of stuff like that in a way. I think I told John they were $2.59 a piece. It wasn't like a organic. It was just like, well, you know, you're going to have that in the pantry probably until it's expired, potentially, you know, so, but in an emergency, you know. And the date, that's what it was, because cans, for example, they're usually canned way ahead, like 3-4 years sometimes. And now I notice you can turn a can over, and that's been going on some years now. The last few, since the COVID, is you flip the can over and it's like a year off if you're lucky. Because you don't want to really be eating out of a can a lot anyways. But if that's what you got, then that's what you got to do. But I get in the store, and these 2 women at the service counter, which they had just opened, literally had their video phone on me. So when I got into you walk in and you usually walk into the produce. So I'm already kind of getting flustered. Because I kind of just rolled out too, you know, just went to the store, had on what I had on, and, you know, I start looking, I'm like trying to prep myself for prices because this is a smaller store. It's a smaller food town. And so I know that the prices, even way back when we lived closer out to that spot, back in like 2009 time. I gotta get rolling here. 2008, 2007, maybe, no. Yeah, 2007, 2008 range to 9, somewhere in there. It was even nuts then. So that will give you an idea. Because it's smaller. Like I said, it's a smaller store. I don't know if they're part of a chain or if they went independent or how all that really rolls out. But it's a smaller food town. So I'm like, I have to stay focused. I know I at least want one chicken. And I look through the vegetables and I'm starting to like it's not stress, is that when I see the prices and it's just not lining up. My brain, I don't know if it's just the store and well, maybe the two girls at the service counter staring at me with their phone on, with it up like this, looking at me but talking to one another. Yeah. So I had to ignore that right away. And then and they were older. This wasn't like two kids or something like, hey, look at that fruitcake dressed like that or whatever. Portobello mushrooms. I'm like, sounds wonderful. We haven't had them in a minute. 3. I'm not kidding. 3. Not big, not like when you see them, like, to me, a normal portobello. 3 of them. 3 of them. More of a supposedly more natural farm. $3.69 or pushing $4 for 3 smaller portobello. Over $1 a mushroom? I can't. Okay, we're going to stop here because it gets worse. I mean, I don't know if it can get worse than a $15 chicken. That's 4 pounds, 75, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Well, I guess that's about it. But I probably am forgetting something now. I thought I wrote down what I wanted to go over. I guess that's all we're going over. So we are still ordering from the cattle ranch. And out of when we do just think that it would be safe to go out to eat, which normally isn't. But for the most part, because we were having trouble in the sense of going to the market, and like a grocery store, and trying to get some fresh animal protein, the dates, and there had been more than a few times. That's why we did do the turkeys, but weren't planning on keeping them. But I had the guy across the road spying on me day in and day out when I was out there, and then they reported it to DNR, and it was down to 4 chickens and 2 turkeys. And then even some of the locals, when we were still kind of going to the grill, but we were going to taper out because it was getting really odd. Well, I had been loud because of this psycho here that they're just letting run free. And I'm going to call him that because he truly is. And I've never had a guy stalk me like that, the way he did it the first few months or so. They ignored John. I mean, we pretty much know the narrative, but then see, they do that so then to provoke John. And then see, then John and I would be arguing in their stress, but then hoping that John will then, beat him up. So I pretty much have to be the front woman to help John be able to get his rest and keep some sort of semblance of a pattern when we deal with these kind of characters, and get to work and be able to get to work in one piece and keep a car running. And so I have to struggle with these big, large, crappy predator perverts who are violent and horrible. I've noticed that the last 10 to 15 years they got worse with me. I used to ignore them. I used to just even bend to whatever, like just like go hide in the house or whatever. So what I was meaning about the cattle ranch is we were having issues, so I'm bringing it home. I'm prepping it just like I always have as I've been cooking a long time. and something's off, or we're not feeling well, or why is it, you know. And so I know I shouldn't have grabbed the 2 turkeys, but we processed them last October. It was October 7th. And that was the plan from the get. There was no way we could keep these 2 turkeys. Not to mention turkeys are literally on a suicide run. At least these 2 were. I mean, before they were fully grown and they were flying over the pool, I was just like, to get bugs and stuff. And they were hilarious. We have a lot of funny footage of them. All of the fowl, and that was such the funniest thing to us, was they loved to go on the front porch. For the life of us, we were like, why do they like to go on? I don't know, they did. I guess because of the curtains, but they would all go up there. But this one time, I had, because it was really, the mosquitoes were super bad when we got here. It wasn't near that way this year, but we've been combating. We have different ways to combat it, like the tablets in the pool, but it looks like we're just going to have to drain it and deal with that mess. Because something's draining it anyways, and we don't know why. So, it's probably someone had some fun. Maybe, maybe not. But that's my indication. It was around the same time as the tree. Half the one tree. I kept seeing the one guy creeping around the corner over there. Oh, did I mention too the other day at all, like they did this bellowing smoke on Thursday where it was literally you couldn't barely see the sun. There's just no law out here. And if there is any law, it's tied in with whatever else, and they hate this property. I know darn well the way that they talk to me. The couple conversations I had with the lady out back, and they were brief, was their detest for the woman that lived here before and the son. And I was like, oh no, you know. Sure, it's just some unspoken bullshit from the past. People are so petty, they just continue to it's part of the gang stalking too on us, but well, I keep looking at this, like thinking something's gonna pop up in my brain. So thankfully the port thing stopped. Now I've got the phone on my Bible. So thankfully the strike stopped. It looks like they're gonna negotiate, or are they just gonna drag it out again and all that, so that, you know, because we can't have the port shut down. Jesus Lord. Let's just... God, I think about how I was like, oh, maybe I would have lived or stayed down in Asheville, and then when this kind of stuff happens, it really throws me for a loop, because I'm like, I wouldn't have left that house. If there was some magical way I could have acquired the house, because I was young and I was only working like little jobs. And I was the last born trying to be forced into running the rink, and I didn't want to run it because I knew how it was to work for the people who raised me, and it's not fun. And they make you think you have it great, and you ain't getting paid enough, and it's just a joke. So, and they just make you feel horrible about yourself, is what they would do. She'd always come in all high and mighty, and I just wanted to be cut loose. So I'm thinking, though, to myself now, I'm like, well, I mean, that was in the valley, so I don't remember if there'd be a river nearby. I suppose it would have been okay right there. It was kind of at the foothills. It wasn't down more, but it wasn't way up in the Appalachians, but it wasn't. So I just don't know. I'm sure it would be fine. It'd been there since the beginning of time almost. But still, to be down there and see all the devastation, and you know, it's heart-wrenching. And we're not even in it. And like, I can say that, but I mean, if you're in it, I mean, I I can somewhat identify, but not fully. I bet I'm obviously able to see what it's done, and it's just the most horrible stories. And so we're going to try to get this wrapped up because I don't want to start crying about it. And as I was listening to another woman say, she's like, okay, we're just going to have to revamp the whole government. She must be in some sort of situation where she's capable of, or she's in some sort of donation base or a church, or, I'm going to cough, I'm sorry. And she's like, we just need to, I put it on my Cura, so if you're interested. It's a short clip, but I think she does clips, her discussion of the real facts of FEMA and the government trying to send them checks. And she's like, what are we going to do with those? Agreed. It's all they're doing is they're just provoking all of us. And I get all of you, you know, let's stay calm, let's stay calm. Yeah, we need to stay calm, but that's also another way to give yourself a stroke. This is rightful disgust. This is rightful upset. It's fraud, and it's just more corruption. It just steeping up to the heavens. Riches cannot redeem. And she was saying, we need supplies. What are we going to do with the check? That was, did I already repeat that? Yeah, she'll get you fired up. She's more professional than me, but you'll like it. You'll like that clip. You won't like what you hear about what's going on down there. But, and you know, someone else will say nothing new under the sun, right? Just roll with the punches. No. God left a bunch of us here for a long time. Some of us are here longer than we wanted to be. And, I don't want to do the anger of God, for God's sakes. Didn't we just do this one? And I'm going to start getting nauseous and feeling sick anyway, so I've had a number of episodes today of random. They're distorting my bones. They've come up in here. These are bent in. They're bent. They're like, it's hard to explain. It was after the bomb thing, and that never got accounted for, and I mean, they would have been able, someone was able to get something from the military grade to do that to me. I think I just did this one not long ago. The anger of God. Lamentations just, oh my God. Lamentations describes the funeral of a city. Well, boy, there's going to be a lot of that, down there. It is the tear-stained portrait of the once proud Jerusalem, now reduced to a rubble by the invading Babylonian hordes. In a 5-poem dirge, Jeremiah exposes his emotions. A death has occurred. Jerusalem lies barren. Oh God, I'm gonna end up crying, and I am ungodly late. I don't know if it stopped sooner, the female thing, or if it's just really late. The anger of God, chapter 2. So I'm extra bloated. How has the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. The Lord has swallowed up all the habitations of Jacob, and has not pitied. He has thrown down in his wrath the strongholds of the daughter of Judah. He has brought them down to the ground. He has polluted the kingdom and the princes thereof. He has cut off in his fierce anger all the horn of Israel. He has drawn back his right hand from before the enemy, and he burned against Jacob like a flaming fire, which devoureth around about. He has bent his bow like an enemy. It's funny, my reading eyes are good today, but sometimes they're not. He has bent his bow like an enemy. He stood with his right hand as an adversary, and slew all that were pleasant to the eye in the tabernacle of the daughter of Zion. He poured out his fury like fire. Those are the ones that I think sometimes they were chopped up a bit. I'm sorry, I used to do that more. I try not to do that anymore, but meaning stuff is removed. The Lord was an enemy. He has swallowed up Israel. He has swallowed up all of her palaces. He has destroyed his strongholds and has increased in the daughter of Judah mourning and lamentation. And he has violently taken away his tabernacle, as if it were of a garden. He has destroyed his places of the assembly. The Lord has caused a solemn feast and Sabbaths to be forgotten. And Zion hath despised in the indignation of his anger the king and the priest. 31 minutes, great. We're almost done. I do this every time when I read this one, though, because I've read this more than once. I won't be able to get through the agony of Jerusalem. We're just doing the first part of chapter 2 of Lamentations. Verse 7, the Lord has cast off his altar. He has abhorred his sanctuary. He has given up into the hand of the enemy the walls of her palaces. They have made a noise in the house of the Lord as in the day of a solemn feast. The Lord has purposed to destroy the wall of the daughter of Zion. He has stretched out a line. It's the sun outside and the wind and a tree. If the lighting is funny. He has stretched out a line. He has not withdrawn his hand from destroying. Therefore, he made the rampart and the wall to lament. They languish together. Her gates are sunk into the ground. He has destroyed and broken her bars. Her king and her princes are among the Gentiles. The law is no more. Her prophets also find no vision from the Lord. It's a honey drop eucalyptus thing for my cough right now. Then I'm gonna have to spend the rest of the day trying to get heat, and get this up and gone. Enough is enough. All right, so the biggest take from this is the Lord has been angered too long. We can try to say it's all blamed on it's more or less like manipulating weather and making things worse is technically what they've done. In some regions, they just don't even allow much to go on, and it seems like other areas get messed up. So I'm not in that ballpark. I know God controls everything, and he allows what he allows when he allows it, regardless of man-made tools of destruction. The thing is that most of us wanted it to go better than this, I think. I don't even think we expect... Why does it look like the one eye is like bigger than... Why we even just... not even better, just somewhat stabilized. A somewhat stabilized society. And so many are excited that maybe it's final judgment. Oh, that was what I forgot to mention. Michigan simply cannot stop certain districts. The East, the one I'm from, So they split, our state is split into like two. So what I call it is it's the Grand Rapids West Side, main city. There's other cities. I'm just saying that's the main biggest hub. And then you have over here, you have Detroit, which is an hour, about approximately an hour or more from us, depending on which way you go. And because we're closer to Ohio than we are Michigan, and we went another, I don't know if it's a full 7 miles or more south or so, 7 to 10 from where we were. And so so if you jump over onto 75, but there's so much construction, and a lot of people, I think that we're late potentially. I'm jumping around for the RFK and Tulsi Gabbard and the other great fellas. Unfortunately, I wrote the one name down. John helped me write it down because he was really passionate. I don't know if he's at a gospel or like a unity church, but I was wanting to maybe visit sometime. Real great energy, very boisterous, very passionate. Minister started out the meetup rally, or maybe we turned it into a rally, because there was a bunch of us that were feisty and vocal in between what they were sharing. I hope we weren't just interrupting them the whole time. No, I think we kept the energy up. I hate to be mean, but outside of that, I think we would have fallen asleep. But there was a bunch of people that came in later, and I'm like, man, they are late. And you know what? I bet it was the construction. So we're getting better with that, because Michigan has a lot of construction right now, and has been for quite some time. And that's good, because we needed it. And so I need to start saying the positive things of Michigan. Thank you for trying to finally get some of these really bad ones fixed, especially up towards Detroit. So this is probably why a lot of people were late. So we had took it, I'll leave a little longer even to come up, but now we know we should have went 275 to 94. Do you even remember what you were going to say from this point? Not really. Not really. Michigan, East District. They can't do, they just simply can't, they can't stop voter fraud. I mean, I think it's like an addiction. Well, we all know what that is in Michigan, right? That stuff really gets to me. Like, you want me to participate in a crooked voting system. I am torn inside. I pray every day, all day, no matter what I'm doing, because I can do that in part of my brain. And then there's the ones that, yes, I just really get down in the barracks, you know, with the Lord. That's probably more of like mourning and wailing, but about the conditions of things. But I do then go into a deeper state. Now, I'm not going to say if that's every day. It's pretty much every day. It's definitely every morning. A certain part of my morning or midday or one part of the day I dedicate. If I can get an hour or more, I will. And just quiet, but if I've got to express what I'm feeling, you know, just let it out, get it out, and they can't stop this voter fraud. More people got caught. There's over 25 or more people that now have been caught up in Lansing that have been allocating stuff so corruptly. And then I wonder why when I called to try to get help, we never got no help. I don't know actually how the state is running. I mean, I think it must just be some sort of divine intervention that our state is even functioning at all from what I see or what I observe. And I don't even find the information all the time because it's too provoking for someone that just, is it so hard to have just a little integrity? A little integrity. I mean, we're not talking like some sort of angelic angel from heaven. it's that just a little goes a long way. Because that type of thing, you guys keeping your hands in the cookie jar and just making everything do what you want it to do, and you think no one's going to find out. There are watchdogs everywhere now. You might be working elbow to elbow with a watchdog up in your township hall and you don't even know it, and they're reporting your shit. So I don't know. But see, this is the thing for basic folk, not even basic, people that have already been through hell up here in Michigan. And that's literally what they've done. And they've done it for so long, it has created a bitterness in certain regions where people are so bitter and they don't trust you, they ain't gonna trust you, and they ain't gonna vote for you. And that's what you've done to Michigan. It's not our fault. A lot of us just simply didn't know what to do. We keep going along with it. The cronies, I call it the country club, passing the baton on to the next one, hands in the cookie jar, not allocating funds right. This person over here is sabotaging this other person's agenda. Won't do medical marijuana forever. People are dying, and we know that there's certain elements of the medical marijuana, the medical, that is, it helps with so many people suffering from terminal diseases, pain relief, so then they're not hooked on oxys, and there's just a plethora of options within the green industry. But like, even like my town was always so really weird. Like, I had friends in the past that would be in jail for months on end over a roach. And now we call it the Green Mile. Now there's so much, there's no regulation. So now you won't know how pure is it. Is it being grown right? At least with the medical, there was a form of, like, I just think the medical was good, and then if it went full wreck, there still needed to be some sort of control over the industry. I never just thought, like, oh, hog wild, but I didn't really know, and I thought, well, just decriminalize it. It just simply needs to be decriminalized. And, but now it's like, this town has been destroyed in some ways because of it. And because it wasn't regulated, it was like they wouldn't allow it for way longer than almost any county. And then when they opened the door, I mean, you saw restaurants going out of business and a green shop coming in, and I'm fully all right with green. If I could just be back on the green and stop being an idiot, I'm much better off to regulate pain. And I stick with the indicas. Strong indica. It's low T. It's the low T factor in them. For body, nervous, and just keeping things a little more. Is just he's got his stuff out to make. We're gonna try a batch of kombucha. It's just so much better than pills. You can never tell me otherwise. I've researched marijuana use and why it was illegal since high school. It was through a friend who was encouraging me, because I was actually very anti, because it was the way I was raised and it was demonized. And once I started to learn about the strands and like me, no, I don't do sativas. That would not line up with my personality or my tenant, like just how I am, and the damage that's been done with the whiplashes. There was whiplashes. I had more than one whiplash in my lifetime, and different things like that. So, and I run high energy, so we just kind of, to keep me kind of more of a steady keel, I stick in the indica family. And I've seen firsthand the devastation of pill addiction, and it's so much more treacherous and bad than if someone even just has an edible or just CBD or something to just help them manage their pain, and if they're terminal and there's no other hope. Hands down, I am very much for the green over chemotherapy. You're taking something, a cancer. I'm not a doctor. This is just, I'm self-taught, and I've learned from other doctors, is you're taking a disease, cancer, and it's related to several factors. Some people are prone towards it more than others. Certain blood types are prone towards cancer more than others. And it's lifestyle. It's many factors. But this is the one thing I do kind of know about cancer is you can get cancer from high doses of radiation. So when they go in and then they kill and they break down the body more with more radiation, and certain kind of cancers, it actually makes it worse. And that person is in more pain and more agony, and they're still going to be miserable. They're still going to be hurting and agonizing pain without the chemo. But what smoking green or just vaping it or however, there's water vapor, there's edible, there's capsules, there's the Rick Simpson oil that got me out of a real bind after what the hospitals did to me back then, and I was not drinking. And I swear if it wasn't for that oil, I don't know, like, I don't know what it was. No one would give me a proper exam. They just kept hurting me more, and it was related to excessive migraines, and I was literally immobile, and I had an incident, and it was what I consider one of my closer to, I thought I was dying, and I was home alone. Son was at school, my husband was at work, and I knew there was something that had to do with my brain, but they wouldn't give me any sort of tests. I don't think they wanted me to see what maybe they put there themselves. Something on that order, because to refuse me medical treatment. So if it wasn't for the Rick Simpson oil and at that time I had medical marijuana, I don't know if God would have, because I spit something up and it was a excruciating moment, and I was shaking and it was horrifying, and I had lost copious amounts of weight. I was down to a stick. For me, it was scary. I mean, it was just, and I don't know, after the Rick Simpson oil, something started to re-equal out, but I was getting hammered with the cops and stuff still after me, because I reported the human trafficking up in Ypsilanti and connected with this Monroe hotel. Oh, this is a long one today. I probably won't post it, so just I guess something I do for an hour. Okay, I love you. Have a good one. So this is testimony, a little updates on groceries. Let's pray for this group down south and on the east. Just keep them continually in your prayers for God's miracle. Looks like a lot of the communities are really coming together. This is something that could really, really bring people together down there. If there's been any kind of divisions, this could maybe God is going to use this devastating, I mean, I hate to say that, I mean, because we're not going to say that right now. Let's just say that through this devastation that they're having to suffer through, that maybe they can come together and just be there for one another, and it can show us that we can come together when we absolutely have to. And it doesn't have to be because of your political affiliation or your religious affiliation or how you dress or what you drive or where you live. Bye, oh bye. And I just love you guys. And I thank you for a couple prayers if you prayed. Honestly, the way it was feeling, I was like, I may have to force myself into a medical place. Chances are I won't. I'm going to do some more of my expelling. I'm going to do my ionic foot bath. I'm going to take a hot shower, open up all the pores, and I do the ionic foot bath. It technically will probably pull most of what I need out. And then I'm going to make a delicious chicken, and maybe with some spicy stuff to just keep help getting out. I bought some hot peppers and that, and then we'll see how it goes. So thanks for the prayers, and Trump said it. He said fight. So when you're telling, what do you think people are going to do, dingbats? See, that's not what this means. It means we got to fight for what's right. And inevitably there has to be an internal, well, I can't do this right now, just because people have to get demoted. Okay? It's plain and simple. Somebody needs to clean house in Washington, D.C. I don't have the power. I don't have the credentials. I don't have, well, good Lord, we know why that wouldn't go down. So I'm just like a secretive, I don't know if I'm a full watchdog. I kind of flit around, you know. I'm like it's almost like a chihuahua with butterfly wings. And I go from here, I go over there. I look up there in Canada, I go over there. Look over here, go over there. Look up there, bring this down here, bring this together here. All right, just love you. Bye.